I bet, I'm almost willing to bet everything that I have on this. If you look at the offensive line, the tight ends, the quarterbacks, probably even the fullbacks, and a larger degree of running backs than you might think, you probably find mostly conservatives. Maybe even the linebacker core. But when you get out on the edges where wide receivers are going one-on-one against DBs, that's where you get like these people that are just the most flashy, and I would bet the most liberal of people on the field too. But the guys in the trenches that are depending on one another, they don't have time for that. Right. Like I would bet at least.
It's like a mentality, you know? It's a lifestyle that because they've been
Yeah.
doing this since high school, college, professional. It's like a life for them is to.
I just find it interesting when you think about it. Like you think about the left, and you think about it. Let's just kind of use an example. You think about a liberal or a leftist male, or like an actual socialist male, versus a conservative male, a right-leaning male. Okay. So obviously, we believe in limited government, and you'd be hard-pressed to make the case that it's not the conservative who would vote for more freedom. People who say abortion, okay, whatever. But the point is, people waving the flag, people who believe freedom isn't free, people who support freedom, the United States, right? Those people are on the right. And the people on the left, those who support centralized power, right? Those who support centralized government, we should all be in this together. So logically, if you were to look at that on paper, you go, okay, well, this person who believes in collectivism, right, they're going to be the person who sacrifices a lot because they say it's for the greater good, and this conservative is going to be pretty selfish. And then if you look at all the numbers, the polling data that we have, and we have a lot of it, you go, oh, the socialist male is far more likely to be in college, not working, not have a family, single, no kids, the kind of person you see out there protesting in the streets. The conservative male who is pro-freedom, he will eliminate his own freedom by agreeing to be with one woman for the rest of his life, working 9 to 5 really hard, serving his family, his children, so that they can have freedom of choice. The conservative man almost invariably ends up making more sacrifices out of a sense of duty for the collective good of his family than the libertine socialist male who believes that we all should be on board. If you look at how they live, those on the right, men, what we actually believe men to be, they sacrifice a lot as it relates to personal freedom for the greater good. Why don't the socialists?
Guess it depends. Today I've been streaming most of the day since I've been awake. But I usually stream for like 2 hours at a time. Maybe like a little bit more, but I like to restart my stream after like 2 hours because it gets like stagnant if I don't.
I think it was Matt or Tim who was telling me this a couple weeks ago about how they care more about things that are further away. Liberals will, like socials will care things
because there's no accountability
further away from them, from their personal lives, where a conservative person
cares. Like the space rocks
totally right.
Chart.
The space rocks chart. I don't know the space rocks.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It shows like they care about like poverty, hunger, that kind of stuff.
Like the inner circle is like your immediate family, your close acquaintances, friends, and then it kind of goes outward from that. Like anybody in existence, any living thing in existence, and they found that liberals chose things further away more.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
I don't know if that's accurate, but no, whatever.
I don't know, man.
Or maybe like, not to sound like a simp, but like if I heard it.
Oh god.
What if 1999 got your choice of 2 pizzas, Parmesan bread bites and cinnamon bread bites? Wait, it does? Oh yeah, it's the perfect combo. Just $19.99 for it all.
Should I make bacon?
Stop Googling how to start investing. Download Acorns instead. Just make an account and link your...
The tacos sound better to me, but up to you. Sounds pretty good though. I think that's what I'm having for dinner too, is like some breakfast burrito thing. I bought some fish sticks, but I threw them away because I didn't like them.
Debit or credit card. Send recurring investments once and see your future's potential. See yours when you download the Acorns app.
Or maybe like, not to sound like a simp, but like if I heard a guy say, that like, oh, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells after Me Too, I would just assume that guy is like a. That's the weirdest thing in the world. That's an insane thing to say.
Yeah.
Now, I think there are more particular worries. So this is one that
Wait, why is that an insane thing to say?
because if you're worried about being perceived as a, you probably have like a lot of behaviors or ways to engage with women that make you come off as like a rapist.
Worrying about how you're perceived has nothing to do with the fact that you would, it's not entailed that you would engage in behavior because you're worried about being perceived.
I'm sorry, but your perceptions absolutely entail the way that you act in reality. That's
No,
all-
it just,
that's what
there's
perceptions
no
are.
entailment whatsoever that if you're worried about being perceived a certain way that you are, that's because you're going to act that way.
No, I'm not surprised that you would be the one to
No,
argue
but
against
their
this point. So
behaviors.
Well, give me an argument back.
I can't argue against you saying no.
Against you just saying bullshit.
I'm saying that in any other circumstance, we're applying different standards here, okay, for whatever fucking reason. But in any other circumstance, if a guy were to like come into your house and he would just start talking like, God,
It's an
like it's so
opinion.
really, like awesome with me, but like I'm so worried because a lot of people think that I just like steal stuff from their house. Like if a guy randomly said that, I'd be like, the fuck do you mean? Why are people worried that you steal shit from their house?
But I said, I just
No, I
invited
think
her and
it's-
she was
I
like,
think
"Hey,
it's
yeah."
totally
She probably
reasonable.
just didn't say it.
I
Just
think
I
it's
did.
totally
You know what I mean?
reasonable for men to say that they walk around eggshells around women if they perceive that there's all sorts of false sexual dynamics at play and
Okay.
false sexual claims that will be made against
Right.
them.
But
And
a
I
man
don't
who
think
respects
I
a
don't
woman's
think that them
space-
worrying about how they're perceived is them saying, oh, wait a second, I'm actually wanting to do this behavior and now it'll just be perceived that I am. I
But-
think that's
but
a bad
maybe-
take.
Okay, but maybe not, but for a man to have that, a man who doesn't disrespect a woman's space in the first place and knows how to behave around women in a respectful manner, wouldn't be afraid, because he knows how he is acting in his work environment.
What
There-
are you
There's
talking
usually
about?
something that happened for there to be consequences at least. So when a guy says, "Oh, I just said hi to her and they reported me to HR," that I don't think that's the
Do you
story.
guys hang out with like the elderly generation ever? And like, have you ever noticed? And it's just like part of their generation. They tend to be
Sexual
like
harassment.
they're just like they'll
They tend to be
they're
bigots as
a little
well.
cutesy. There's a little bit, and then we look at them and we're like, oh, how inappropriate and how wrong and like yeah, but we can't like. It's become such an extreme. We can say some of maybe we could recognize in society that some of the mannerisms that were tolerated decades ago shouldn't be tolerated anymore, but it shouldn't go to such an extreme where we're penalizing people for basically flirting. Like
I'm being penalized though. Is it just are they just are they
Penalized.
actually penalized or do they feel like they're gonna be penalized?
no, people are absolutely being penalized. I don't know what you
Unjustly? Unjustly
I-
being penalized or
Yeah, I've spoken to several men who I feel have been unjustly penalized for,
in what ways?
Uh,
Like and
like
what
a woman accused them of sexual harassment, a woman has accused them of.
Did you speak to the women? Did you get the other side of the story?
Yeah, did you get the
Or
other
did you
No.
just talk to the men?
Well, one of the cases, like the case where the guy was accused of, it was a UC case and it was overturned in his favor. However, he was already expelled from the school at that time, even though they found that she had actually lied. And she was eventually expelled from the school as well. But at that, he played for their football team, and because he was expelled, he couldn't like go back on the football team. There's no point for him to go. So he lost everything. He was like heading to the NFL. He lost his ability to go to
But
college.
it's gonna be less likely than
the other side
than the
of
latter.
that women who actually
Yeah, I worked in corporate, I was an accountant for 17 years, and there's so much sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. So would you say it's still a net negative because a few men, and so we're seeing legally
Right.
that statute of limitations being extended to 5-7 years is reasonable. The workplace, I don't know in what ways they're being actually penalized and their jobs are being affected. And then in the school, you're giving us a few cases where, yeah, I think you could argue the pendulum swing too much. But in general, if we're looking at the overall question of was it a net positive, you're also saying, yeah, I also got rid of a bunch of sexual harassment and a bunch of women who couldn't,
Yeah, there's
actually
some
cause-
benefits. There are benefits, but when
Don't
it's
feel
hard.
that way.
There are benefits to the Me Too, however, there
Probably.
are negatives to the Me Too. And I think if I look at the overall picture of Me Too, I would say it's a net negative.
He's down at the corner store with Scrappy Doo getting an ice cream cone. Where else?
based off the way that men and women relate with each other. I think men are scared to flirt with women. I think it's made dating.
Hold on, wait, real quick. I don't feel like men are scared to flirt with women. I think that what's scary is if you're too autistic to realize if your like flirtatious advances are welcome or if they're inappropriate or not. I think that those are the issues a lot of people run into. I agree with that older generation thing. I don't know if it applies to anybody in this call or these two ladies, but like every single girl or woman that I've talked to that's worked in corporate, any kind of corporate environment, any kind of even engineering environment, has stories about like the guy passing behind you that puts a hand on your lower back. Like all of these like really weird, subtle, gaslighty, disgusting fucking behaviors that, and men can say, and this is why I don't like this excuse, men are confused, men don't know what's wrong. That's bullshit. If I did that to fucking Myron, he would kill me instantly. Men know exactly where the boundaries are, okay? They know exactly where the boundaries are because they know when we engage with each other, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. For some reason, women are like, okay, I don't like making it sound so as fuck, but yeah.
Are you not being flirted with anymore?
Yeah, but it's heavy
Like, what would
risk.
be another, what would be,
Risk
what
is
would
the
be,
problem. So if we're looking at this objectively, if you have men who have something to lose, right, it's very high risk for them under the pretense that there could be false allegations. Why take the risk? If you can hire a man for the same position and there's no risk, why wouldn't you do that? That seems logical and reasonable to me.
And yet the employment trends don't reflect that anywhere in the United States.
Well, wait a second. 45% of men ages 18 to 25 or 18 to 30 haven't even approached a girl this year in person. So like that alone.
Do you think it's because of the Me Too thing? Or that's because they're glued to TikTok on their phone?
I'm saying there's
Well, I do find it ironic.
They're pushed online now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I do find it ironic that, Destiny, you called these people autistic. It's like, yeah, first of all, we have a rise in autism, and then and that is compounding the difficulty in the dating relationships between men and women. And then you compound that with this other issue of trying to figure out the nuance between determining whether a girl is flirtatiously going, oh no, stop, versus going, no, stop, like versus whether or not.
Yeah, I'm sympathetic to these.
It's confusing, right?
Sure,
Like,
I'm sympathetic to these, but like here, this is a super easy answer, and I would give this as personal advice if somebody asked me. If somebody came up to me and they're like, listen up, Steven, I don't know if this girl, blah, 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 blah. Here's what I would say. If you don't know, why the fuck are you flirting at work, you fucking retard? And I would call him a retard, and I would slap him across the face. If you have no idea if your advances are unwelcome, making somebody feel uncomfortable, why would you risk permanently destroying your workplace environment? That's like the worst.
Where else do you meet people?
You would stop hiring women. And then
Where else do you
Andrew, that has not happened anywhere yet, and it's not
No,
going to happen.
well, listen, the employment trends that you're talking about, it has happened. There are surveys on this, and many men have said that they don't feel as comfortable hiring women as they did before. And they have been moving away from that steadily, especially in higher positions. There is data to reflect that. You're full of shit.
I'd be curious in seeing you link it, like,
Surveys are different than actual employment numbers. Like, you can get all the men to profess that they're not gonna hire women, but actually show me some employment statistics that shows their drop of like higher level management positions that there's
What
no
about the-
desire for women.
What about the rape statistics? Those are all polls and surveys. Are those not valid?
Okay, wait. Also, another thing, Lauren, I agree that like meeting people in different areas is important. Work is a good place to meet people. But like, I think you have to look at the other end of the equation too. You can't just say, well, men don't know where to meet women except for work. Therefore, like every woman's like comfort at her job now has to be held captive.
Most couples meet at work.
Yes, thank you.
People that get married meet at work. This idea that it doesn't happen is like
A
stupid.
good thing I never said it doesn't happen, because that would be actually
But
reserved.
yeah, because actually like 2 seconds ago you were saying, well, if he wants to approach her at work, he shouldn't be doing that or whatever the fuck. Like, no.
No,
what are you
what I
talking
said
about?
was, if you don't know if your advances are welcome or not, don't jeopardize
How would
your
you know? Who would know that? How would
If you
you
don't
know?
know, if you know, then you don't know. It's
Because
that
you're
simple. Hold on.
autistic.
None of this is different from before Me Too as well, by the way. You don't know if your advances are welcome, don't fuck your workplace up with it.
I agree.
Destiny be retarded. What else is no?
Pro, model A1398. This unit came in for a track pad replacement, which is a repair that's not very commonly done, so we're going to show you guys how to do it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so of course we're going to start by removing the pentalobe screws all along the bottom case here.
Damn it.
Alright, so now that we're inside the unit, the very first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery right here. And since we're going to be removing the battery to access the trackpad, we're going to start by removing this trackpad flex cable. These are going to be 2 T5 screws. We're going to go ahead and unplug the flex cable from the logic board, as well as the flex cable from this daughter board down below here, and set that aside. And of course, we're going to start by removing the battery, which means we have to loosen the adhesive. We're going to use isopropyl alcohol here.
Sorry, I'm watching a little video on how to fix my MacBook.
I agree.
So this is
and people still meet at workplaces. It's not
I
like
think this
people are no longer.
I've linked this over, this is from Forbes, almost 1 in 5 men and about 6% of women report that as a result of Me Too, they're less likely to hire attractive women. This
That's
doesn't
great.
shock
And
me.
also, when you poll like 95% of women, they say they want a guy that's over 6 feet tall. People's preferences don't necessarily map onto
So
real
they're
world
more
behavior.
reluctant, but
Yeah.
they're doing it.
Yeah,
That's
they're
what
still
I-
doing it.
yeah.
The thing
At the end of the day,
is,
you go for competence, given
Okay.
education rates.
but the thing is that that's not a good trend. And if that trend continues, you'll see this in other surveys which are reflected with mentor status and all sorts of other things. It's not really so much whether or not this phenomenon is going on in real time, but whether or not the perception of it is going to continue to spiral in society, and it seems like it's going to.
I think we all agree
these
that
kind
that
of
would be a
gaps
bad
go.
thing. Yeah, we all agree that that would be a bad thing. Nobody likes that trend. But it seems like when we talk about this, the whole point of Me Too was to just punish poor guys, and that's the only thing that's happened. But the other side of the argument is maybe there's been a dramatic reduction in the way, or dramatic change in the way that men associate with women at the workplace. Yeah, there's a bad side to this too, and that some people are a little bit more afraid of engaging with women. But I mean, as culture advances, as people go on, like people will learn how to do it different, learn how to do it better. As Lauren said earlier, the older generation of men and women were creepy as fuck. And that's not the norm, even for Gen Xers, and definitely not for millennials, and definitely not for Gen Z.
But
So
when we aren't dealing with a massive labor shortage, a nationwide labor shortage, let's say in a few years we're not, which is possible, and suddenly you do have the same qualified candidates who are coming in, who are men and women, and you have a lot to lose for your business or something like this, doesn't it stand to reason, don't you think, that a lot of those men would prefer to hire the man over the woman?
Good. Fuck women then, because they're destroying us in school and the workplace right now. Like, women are on course to completely upend.
Well, they're not destroying us. So
They are
you
in
can see,
education.
no, you can see, hang on, you can see that, especially with trades and with education, the gap is beginning to close. And this is going to
It is not.
continue.
Maybe in trades.
What do you mean it's
Higher
beginning to close?
university
Women are-
education.
It's reversed.
It's reversed.
It's
Listen.
literally reversed. We didn't close it, we reversed it. Now women are outperforming men in almost
2 to 1 in
yeah.
college. Even in med school, there's more
I'm
women.
not talking about college.
What
What was it that I said?
Yeah,
I
you
said
said
We're
that
just
the
talking about the
trend,
trades, Andrew. We're not here to talk about plumbers and electricians.
What I said was that the trends
Potentially
between
in the
this pay
future, this
gap,
trend could,
what I said was that the trends between the pay gap of tradesmen and the college educated is beginning to close up. So no, it doesn't really tell the whole story to say that women are getting more educated. That's fine. If a massive education was about rewarding the best and brightest, almost nobody would be able to go to college, but almost everybody is. A college degree, as people
It's
are
still around
finding out,
35%
does not mean that you're qualified for shit. It doesn't mean you're qualified for fucking anything.
I mean, even
It's
like
fast
being a
becoming
lawyer
something
in
that
here.
is kind of, your nose is almost looked up at it because it doesn't seem like it matters. If it's not about rewarding the best and the brightest, then what ends up happening is the standard becomes.
Where are the numbers on the college degrees are being snubbed? And people are like, no, I want a high school graduate instead.
So if you're talking about, like, let's take a field like sociology. Or
No. Let's not. Let's just talk broadly about statistics in the United States.
Okay.
This is not happening.
What isn't happening?
That people are like, oh, I don't want the college degree guy. I want the high school graduate.
No, that's not what I said. What I said.
Okay.
Oh, man. For MacBook Pro 2015, which screw do I use to take the bottom off the MacBook? P5 pentaload screwdriver to remove the tip screw. P5. I see S. My screws aren't labeled like that. It says S2T15H, S2T4. Torque space,
which are usually for internal components. For the external bottom case, you specifically need a P5 pentalobe. Important distinction, P5 pentalobe. Used for the 10 outer case screws. It has 5 points, Torx, T-series, used for internal parts like the battery or logic board. It has 6 points. If you try to use a T4 or T5 on the outer case, you will likely strip the screw heads.
Okay, so I got the Jurist multi-bit head.
It sounds like you have a...
I have the Jurist multi-tool head screwdriver. Which tool head do I use?
Use the P5 pentalobe bit,
bro.
the start...
Does the P5 pentalobe come on a Jurist multi-bit screwdriver?
Based on your description, it sounds like you might have a standard multi-bit screwdriver, often used for bikes or furniture, rather than a precision set. Standard multi-bit drivers usually use 1/4 hex bits, and typically include Phillips, flathead, and Torx, like your T15 and T4. Unfortunately, the P5 pentalobe bit required for your MacBook Pro is a specialized micro or precision bit 4mm and is rarely included in general multi-tool sets.
So about a week ago, when I asked you before I bought this Jurist if it had a P5 pentalobe screw on it, and you said yes, where did you go wrong?
I apologize for that mistake. I likely confused a generic precision set with a standard multi-bit driver. Standard multi-tools usually stop at Torx 6-point bits, whereas the P5 pentalobe 5-point is a specialty bit almost exclusive to Apple products. If your kit only has 6-point bits, it won't work for the outer case. Would you like me to find a standalone P5 screwdriver so you don't have to buy another full kit?
How is there not a fucking... So you're telling me on this Jurist multi-tool bit screwdriver head that it's not going to have the one that I need, right?
I apologize for the confusion. Most standard multi-bit screwdrivers, the kind with thick 1/4 hex bits, do not include the P5 pentalobe because it is a specialized size used almost exclusively by Apple. If your kit only has bits like T4 or T15, those are 6-pointed Torx bits. Using them on your MacBook's 5-pointed case screws will strip the heads, making them impossible to remove. Since you already have a driver handle, you likely just need the specific P5 bit or a small precision set that includes it. Recommended pentalobe tools. The Jurist P5 pentalobe screwdriver is a dedicated tool specifically for MacBook Retina bottom cases.
Man, what the fuck?
It features a magnetic tip and an ergonomic handle way, which makes it much safer for your laptop than trying to force a multi-tool bit that doesn't quite fit. If you'd rather have a small kit that covers both the outer and inner screws, the Jurist 38 PCS precision set includes the P5 bit for the case and the Torx bits, T5, T6, you'll need if you plan to touch the battery or SSD inside. Would you like me to find a step-by-step video showing exactly how to use the P5 bit on your specific 2015 model?
Man, what the hell? Why is this so annoying? God damn, bro. Barrel. Which one is this? What the fuck? This is annoying as hell. Fucking goddamn, man. This one. So, the one that I bought is the Jurist 32-in-1 small precision screwdriver. Does it have the P5 pentalobe that I need to open the MacBook Pro bottom?
Yes, the Jurist 32-in-1 small precision screwdriver set does include the P5 pentalobe bit 1.2mm that you need. The P5 pentalobe.
How do I find and identify that specific bit in my 32-piece set?
To identify the P5 pentalobe bit in your Jurist 32-in-1 set, look for these 3 markers. The label. Check the plastic case or the bit shank for the code P5 or 1.2. The shape. Look at the tip. Pentalobe bits have 5 rounded points, resembling a star or a flower.
I found a bit that says S2 1.2.
That is the one. In your Jurist 32-in-1 set, 1.2 inches refers to the P5 pentalobe size, 1.2mm, needed for the MacBook Pro bottom case. The S2 simply indicates the type of hardened steel used to make the bit. Would you like me to find a guide or video for your specific MacBook Pro model to show you exactly where each screw goes?
It works. Yeah, I don't have to buy a new screwdriver now. That's some good news, I guess.
Whoa, the biggest ads of the year are finally here.
What I said
Okay,
was that
sorry,
the
that's what it
standard,
is.
yeah, the standard on college educations are that if more and more and more people have them, they become actually less and less and less valuable because you appeal to the lowest common denominator. You have to in order to get the most amount of people these degrees. And so a consequence of that going forward likely is going to be that people will be less and less impressed with your degree and more impressed with your skill set. And that's probably why you see the gap in the trades with the degrees beginning to close on the opposite side.
I mean, even with higher education, like, I mean, Lauren, I didn't know you, but I guess you're a lawyer too. We're almost half of the profession now. Doctors, women are law degrees less useful now, or?
They didn't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
see a huge employment
Yeah,
shortage?
actually, law degrees are significantly less useful.
I get what you're saying, but the fact that women, it's not like our LSAT scores are lower than men's. We're getting into the same schools they are on merit, and we're doing well.
Yeah, no, you're right. Women are dominating the educational field, but I think that has a lot to do with how education is currently being ran. And I think that's
Be more specific.
and I think that's going to go into our next debate about why men are actually currently struggling with more oppression than women. Yeah, so I actually agree with you somewhat on that point that women are dominating the education field, but I don't.
Can I ask a question for everybody? Because I would like to know if Me Too is so terrible, what would be, in your eyes, what would be a good way to deal with the sexual harassment in the workplace?
It's not that it's so terrible.
everywhere.
It's just that for me, at
What's
least,
a better
it
idea
wasn't-
than that?
Yeah, for me, it wasn't that it was so terrible because when it first started, there was so many things I actually really appreciated about it. Like a lot of things, like it really meant a lot to me. But then it got out of hand, and I think it ended up hurting our culture more than it ended up helping it. Even if it did have some successes, such as more conversations about sexual assault, changing some of our standards in the workplace and changing some of the statutes to 3 to 6 years. Those things are great. However, I think the way that men and women communicate with each other now are vastly, has been strained. I'm sorry, the relationships between men and women has absolutely been strained from the Me Too movement, and pretending like that's not true. It seems quite silly to me. And there's other things, and I think that men being falsely accused of this horrible thing is at an all-time high, and I would rather have 100 innocent people go free than one innocent man. Sorry, 100 guilty people go free than one innocent man in jail. And I feel like this is like one of the
man
worst.
went to jail. But
Yeah,
you would want
yeah.
100 men
Yeah.
who
Brave
woman
people, yeah,
go
to walk
free because one man
And
who you can't name.
I would rather have 100
You don't
guilty
think a
men
woman who's
be
raped got
free.
damaged, like for life as well, or many, many years, probably her whole life.
I'm sorry, are you guys for putting innocent people in jail? Like, what?
No,
what
no,
is not worth than choosing despair? What? Okay, let me ask you a
It was
legitimate question.
50-50,
If
okay,
the
but
legal
we had
system is
100.
working, if the legal system is working for every person who committed a crime who is not convicted, how many innocent people should be locked up?
Which innocent person
Isn't-
got
wait.
locked up?
Isn't it literally
But you
one?
would rather 100 men go free.
I would, my point being is I don't want
It's a
any
trick
innocent
question.
men in jail.
Hold
My
on,
point
wait,
is
can I just evidentiary
innocent-
question?
Or, but you'd rather have, but you're okay with having them go free.
That
I would rather, I don't want, I would, if you committed
it's
a
a
crime.
horrible
like-
situation.
Well, no, we have to
If
answer the
you
question. You want
committed a
100
crime,
It's a horrible situation, but women can just take it, and that's part of being a woman.
She's saying if she has to pick one of those, she's gonna pick that one, right? So she's not saying she preferred it, she's just saying that's the one that she would pick if she had to pick between those two.
Well, and then also, hold on, just a question for the United States. For a criminal conviction, it's like, I've heard, I don't know what they teach in law school, is it 90 or 99% for beyond a reasonable doubt?
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, that's standard. Is it 90, like for Hunter, it's
Yeah,
just 51?
51, no,
No.
it's 90, it's like super like.
Yeah, so let's say beyond a reasonable doubt.
There's no number system to
There's no
it.
number, that's why when you asked, I was kind of like, but preponderance of the evidence is over half.
I thought preponderance of
Yeah,
evidence
it
is
is.
basically
That-
over half of beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, preponderance of the evidence is
But
over
hold on,
half,
but
but
hold
I
on.
can never do beyond a reasonable doubt. We
Yeah,
never
yeah,
were
but
close
also,
to
hold on,
that.
wait, for beyond a reasonable doubt, right? That phrase, that doesn't mean 100%. It doesn't say only if you are completely sure. So even baked into our judicial system, some people are gonna be locked up that are innocent, because beyond a reasonable doubt could be satisfied by somebody that, yeah. So there's always gonna be some amount of friction in the legal system where guilty people walk free and innocent people are put in jail. But to say that even one innocent person going free, that's unacceptable. So 100 rapists can walk free because one innocent person might be convicted. I don't even know if that's consistent with our current.
Misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say it is devastating to put an innocent person in jail. It is
No one's
more
disputing that.
devastating. Hold on, hold on.
Lauren,
It's
they're
more
not
devastating.
understanding it. We should just move on, honestly.
It's
I know
more
it's
devastating.
What about 1,000 rapists versus one, like.
No, it's not a matter, it's not a matter of number. It's not saying that the 100 people will do X, Y, Z. It's literally saying that in America, our system is so good.
Fucking let her relax.
Alright, so now that we're inside the unit, the very first thing we're gonna do is disconnect the battery right here.
Disconnect the battery.
And since we're gonna be removing the battery to access the trackpad, we're gonna start.
How the fuck am I supposed to know what the battery looks like, bro? What the hell? Do I look like a scientist? I could be disconnecting anything, man. What the fuck?
What we're gonna do is disconnect the battery right here.
Where?
And since
Oh, I guess this is the battery. This is sketch. Oh, great. Looks like I broke something. Fuck, man. What is this shitty video? This guy's gonna have me break my fucking laptop. Jesus fucking Christ.
Alright, so now that we're inside the unit, the very first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery right here. And since we're going to be removing the battery to access the trackpad, we're going to start by removing this trackpad flex cable. These are going to be two T5 screws.
That doesn't even look removable.
We're going to unplug the flex cable from the logic board, as well as the flex cable from this daughter board down below here. Set that aside. And of course, we're going to start by removing the battery, which means we have to loosen the adhesive. We're going to use isopropyl alcohol here.
Oh my god.
Alright, so now that that alcohol has started to weaken the glue, we're going to go ahead and take a flat pry here. Make sure it's flat. Don't use a curved one or a pointy one. You don't want to puncture the battery. That will cause fire.
I have to take all this shit out to fix this? What the fuck?
And I'm going to set this battery aside for now. This is a known good battery that we did replace with, so we're going to put it back down once we replace the trackpad and everything inside here. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a T5 screwdriver and remove all the screws along the trackpad sides here.
That when you have an innocent person go to jail, that's a really, really bad thing, because to get them exonerated is probably not gonna happen. It's all
Also, you do that thing when a crime has been committed and the person
Yes,
is free.
it sucks,
And
but what
so
do you
you're
think
saying
is, no, but what do you think is worse? Having a jury convict somebody who's innocent into jail for the rest of their life, or somebody who commits a crime?
Hold on, wait. You can't even answer that.
This is,
No.
I'm telling you, it's a moral thing, yes.
No, the moral thing, you're absolutely dead fucking wrong. What's worse, that you put an innocent man in jail, or you let a guilty serial killer free and kill 5 more people? Because that's 5 innocent lives destroyed instead of the 1 innocent person going to jail. Your whole hypothetical is completely fucking absurd.
Wait.
You're teaching them that you can keep doing this. Like,
No, oh my
sure.
god. This is like the trolley dilemma, is what we're saying.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all.
Definitely
It's
not
not
the
the
trolley
trolley dilemma.
No, my god, there's never a right thing, is what I'm trying to say. But most,
It
does actually sound like the trolley. It does.
you could have just said
All right,
the.
let's go one at a time. Let's let Andrew hasn't talked in like fucking 5 years, so let's let.
I was just saying, it does actually sound like the trolley cart dilemma. So I think that the question is, like, would you throw her if one innocent man went to prison in order to save 10, I think it is basically the trolley cart dilemma. It's phrased differently, but I think it is essentially the same thing that you're asking her. So the answer to this question from you, Destiny, is what for this particular dilemma?
I think that our criminal standards of beyond a reasonable doubt are adequate in the United States. I like the way that our legal system functions, but it's dishonest to ever use the phrase, I don't want an innocent man to ever go to jail, because if that's your position, you are at ends with the current U.S. legal system as criminal convictions work.
Well, I mean, if you don't want innocent men to go to jail, though.
No, of course not. You also don't want to set the evidentiary standard so high that you only convict on 100%, because that means a plethora of almost assuredly guilty people are now roaming the streets and committing more crimes.
And with in particular, that's happened far more frequently than the other way around.
Can you guys define in this country, please?
No.
Exactly.
Based.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
exist, or what
So-
was the point of that
so
question?
No, of course
You're
it
not going on
exists.
torch, is probably right. That's where we're going there.
No, I'm not gonna go through it all. I'm honestly fucking exhausted, and this conversation just keeps
You said
derailing.
like 3 sentences. How are you
I'm
exhausted?
bored, because we're derailing into so many different things, like.
It's not derailing. It's a.
No, the reason I'll let it go is because I do actually feel this on topic is an interesting philosophical discussion, right? Like, okay, what is better in terms of, is it better that 100 guilty people walk or 1 innocent person goes to jail? And I'm not going to give my answer because I'm the moderator, but it is an interesting discussion. I do think it factored into the Me Too discussion, which is why I've allowed it to go on for that long. But if you guys want to like move on,
Can I
think
correct
Yeah,
Lauren, if maybe I'm mistaken, but I think what you meant to say was, would you rather let 1 rapist walk free or the 1 innocent man in jail?
There's a common saying. I'm surprised no one on here.
No, it is common. That's what I'm
It's a common
asking you.
saying to say I'd rather have 100 innocent or 100 guilty men go free than 1 innocent man in jail. It's
And
like
it could be a common
based
saying,
off it's based off why we have the American legal system set up the way it is.
Yeah, but
which I
she's
think
still
is
asking.
funny,
She's
but
still
that
asking the
brings
question.
up the point
So why not
that
have no doubt?
literally
not
that's
the
why
doubt?
the American system is the way it is, and this is like, well, then you don't like the American. No, I like the American system. It's set up specifically because we would rather have 100.
No, but that's not true, because if it was so, then our standards for criminal conviction, then why are the criminal convictions so low? They're nowhere
It
near
is-
all
it is.
that.
Do you know how many cases prosecutors drop? Are you aware? And like
A lot of cases.
Wait, what does that have to do with anything?
we let guilty, like the current American legal system, we probably let more than 100 guilty.
That's not the question. The question is, in the current legal
Oh
system,
my
you can
God.
think without it being 100%. No, hold on. You're bringing up things that we all know that are pointless assertions. Like, yeah, there are obviously cases where they don't have enough evidence and they can't convict probably that somebody like guilty. We probably know that. However, right now in the United States, you can't disagree with this. You agree that the vast majority of convictions are done without.
Yeah, Destiny, no one disagrees with you.
No, hold on. The disagreement is, look, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, yeah, hold on. What I'm saying is, right now, as it stands in the United States, our system is set up to put one innocent person in jail for every 100 people convicted, explicitly so.
Probably less
Oh
so.
my
Probably less.
Okay.
I mean, it's part of it, whether they got money or not, the legal system works a lot better.
The thing is, I want to keep the American legal system. I want to keep the American legal system. There's a really, really, really high standard of who we can get.
I'm just
It is
curious.
extremely high standard.
Lauren,
It is. Don't want it.
Can I ask a question, Mark?
How is that going to change?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Just still something. Are you for or against capital punishment?
I'm on the fence.
Okay,
Like,
you know that innocent people have been.
Yeah, that's why I'm on the fence about that because.
Shouldn't
that-
you be-
No.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather have, how does that, that's a difficult, circle
I don't
to
believe in
square.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So
I
a lot
want
of
to err on the side of innocence, but capital punishment, I'm okay with executing,
What's up,
that's why
Elizabeth?
I'm on the fence with it, and
you should
I
be clearly off the
recently-
fence and against
Well, no,
capital punishment.
Corey,
It's going okay. I'm just trying to fix my MacBook. But it's not as easy as I was thinking it was going to be. Look at this. I got to clean this.
I
Corey,
finished my
wait a second,
answer.
that doesn't
Recently,
make
I
any
had
sense.
meeting
Her
your
position
direction
follows.
on-
Wait, hang on, guys, one more time. Let's let Lauren finish, then we'll go to Andrew. Go ahead.
Recently, I had, because of this specific issue where I'm not 100, like I would, having one innocent person killed is like destruction of our legal system in my mind. So because of that reason, I have been leaning away from capital punishment. That being said, there have been different, so some states have different evidentiary requirements for if you're going to do capital. So like they have first a trial and then they have a second hearing afterwards to determine whether or not they should actually be, killed versus, jail for the rest of their lives. And so I think that does help a little bit with like really, really, really ensuring the person is guilty, but that still doesn't negate for the fact that you're going to have prosecutors committing Brady violations, you're going to have corruption that's going to sway the system, and you're going to have innocent people on death row. And it's a very
Lauren,
tough call.
according to your 2014 study, the number's about 4%. 4% of people who got capital punishment who turned out to be innocent. According to later DNA evidence. Yeah, I know it's true. But anyway, let's go to Andrew next.
Yeah, I was just saying, her position would actually be consistent, Corey. I don't understand why you said she couldn't hold it. It's not a dual position. She's saying she wants the evidence to be extremely high when it comes to these cases in court. She would still want the evidence to be high in a capital punishment case. She's aware that there's going to be some innocent people who are killed via capital punishment, just like she's aware some innocent people will be locked up in prison, but she still wants the evidence to be high. There's no inconsistency there.
But there's also no disagreement. We all want the evidence to be high.
Do you have examples of it not being high now and people actually being thrown in jail or executed? More so because of Me Too? Like, I'm trying to put it back on
Me
track.
Too doesn't obviously affect capital, because Me Too.
No, I know, but that's where, that was the, I'm trying to put us back on track because you were saying that it's a net negative, and that's because maybe even though we're putting 100
I
grades
didn't
away.
bring up the capital punishment argument.
I'm not talking about capital punishment. I'm saying that you're saying that it's a net negative because why? Why is, I'm just trying to get us
So I
back.
gave my points already. I think it has harmed the relationship between men and women in many areas, including dating, including the workplace. And also I think the workplace is one of the few areas left in which people even really hang out anymore. We don't really have like soda shops. We don't really have like places of meetings anymore other than the internet, bars, and work. So it's very
And this is all
difficult.
just your anecdotes that you feel? Like,
Where-
and then,
Okay, but my question was like, what would be an alternative to Me Too, so that,
What
what
would
would
be,
be an alternative?
it's not that, like, I think that, people went into Me Too with bad intentions, or that, a lot of the people that engaged in Me Too were doing the wrong thing. So it's not like there's one thing that you could do, and instead of the Me Too, there's like an alternative option. It's just that I think with the Me Too movement, there have been a lot of negative repercussions that we didn't anticipate that came along with maybe some of the benefits, including changing the statutes from 3 to 6 years. I think that is a benefit. Changing it to 20 years, I don't know if that's a benefit. And so I just think overall, the net negatives include the social interactions between men and women, the easier to get men in trouble at work, at school, and I think that definitely attempted to trickle into legislation. I don't have any specific statutes in front of me that I can point to. And
Let's also let Andrew and Torsten answer that question, because it's an interesting question. So basically,
This unit came in for a track pad
The
replacement.
fuck is the same video?
Alright.
They have two different
The
videos.
battery to access the trackpad. We're going to start by removing this trackpad flex.
These aren't. They have the same video on two different fucking channels. That's fucking retarded.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Jeremy Shin, and I'm a
what
fixer.
should be
In
the
today's video,
alternative
we're going to talk
to
about repairing an
like,
early
obviously, you guys don't like movement, so what would be your
2000
alternative in an
MacBook
ideal
Pro
world?
Retina.
I don't have solution. I just think there's some things that need to be fixed. It's a multifaceted problem.
There's a Harbor Freight store in your neighborhood, so stop by, neighbor.
Laptop was actually already repaired once before, about a year ago.
Really nice mining experience with borderline.
SMC reset on these, and sometimes the keyboard and mouse will start working if you boot into safe mode by holding down the shift key. It will work there as well. I don't know
Well,
what the deal is.
it is. It's a lot more.
Cable. I'll show you it right here. It's about $12 on Amazon, and at least the last time I did this little ribbon cable repaired the problem. So I'm hoping that it does it on this deal as well. What's weird is that the haptic touch on the touchpad still functions, but it doesn't recognize the movement of it at all, and the keys don't work. But you can power the thing on and off. I don't know if the volume, I guess the volume doesn't work as well. Thankfully, I had a Bluetooth Mighty Mouse and keyboard that were already configured attached to it, so I was still able to use the laptop while I was waiting. But, you know, just a pain. So we're going to go ahead and open this thing up and repair it. Now, one thing I will say
Bro, get
is
to the fucking repair. What are you doing? Show the fucking computer, you idiot. This is a shitty video.
see.
Fuck.
Just pull on the back and the whole thing will pop up. So here's that funky looking drive that I was telling you about. It's got like a big giant heat sink on the top.
This isn't even the
This is
model
the
I
ribbon
have.
cable right here. This is the battery connector. I like to pop it off just so there's no power running to the board.
Great. Thanks for the fucking video.
Nuance, then, well, what's a better idea? I don't know. Probably starting with how to define, because it's changed since the 70s. Probably getting statistics right. I mean, US was rated the most dangerous place for women because of statistics. I find that to be shocking. Reuters did, which is, and so, no, this is, I swear to God, and I heard actually a feminist talk about it. They call her.
Are you sure this isn't like of
No, I
OECD
swear to
countries or the G7 or whatever? Like,
No, here I took notes on it. Let me grab it. Fuck, what's her name?
Fuck.
In
I also think you can all agree on
2018.
the definition of just putting your penis inside a girl without her permission. There it is.
So the statistics though include things like intent. Did they try and stop? That's included, and that's absurd. Like they stopped, they didn't rape. It's like, well, yes, this is, and I don't know why. Like I didn't want to go.
Oh,
too
that's
much.
a perfect example, Torsia, of how like the statutes have changed. Like, think that's a perfect example of how.
Well, it's the CDC and the way that we report it. We have one group, the Justice Bureau or whatever. Who's the one? And they're the ones that do like the actual criminal stuff. Like they have the evidence, all that shit. Then you got the other ones who are just coming up with surveys. And there was a lot of discrepancy in like 2013 about it, and it hasn't changed about how they ask the questions, and that there's a lot more false positives than there are positives. Aside from that, pushing the Me Too movement, in my opinion, like influences women to think that certain instances, I don't want to say regret sex because that's kind of undermining other victims, but I think when you have a big collective group of people saying this is, but none of it's following suit with the definitions, it's problematic as fuck. Because I know if men did the same thing, people would be pissed.
They changed the definition of consent as well, right? So they not only changed in the statute, and that affects the statute. So if you change the definition of when you change
I'm a degenerate. I don't know the statutes.
So what behavior is now considered been actually leading to legal consequences that weren't before that you think are unjust?
So I think that it's absolutely absurd that if a guy is going to have sex with a girl or something, then she says no and he stops. And that can be included in, I think that's wrong.
And what do you change? What state?
I don't, guys, I don't know statutes. I don't know.
I have an example. So
when I'm talking about statistics, I'm talking about surveys, or I'm talking about women who report to the police, not necessarily charge the guy though, because you don't have to. That's something.
Guys, also, just a 5-minute warning for this topic before we move on to the next one, so just want to give you guys that. Okay, go ahead.
Another example of the change in definition is like with consent. So it used to be.
Wait. Who's changing and what are the statutes? I think because you're just like saying that these are
For
changes.
me, where I saw this occur was like the use campuses.
Okay, so this is not a legal thing, right? This is just like school policy.
It does trickle into legal things. They absolutely file cases. The UC absolutely files cases on behalf, and they start the case process based on whether or not it's gone through like the UC process. So
the actual statutes changed to include behavior that was not considered before, that is considered now. Whereas
nothing has changed. Since Me Too, nothing has changed.
That's not true. So like with consent, so it used, and I really wish I had like the statutes, but certain places have changed. So it used to be that consent was if like you got some passive yes. So like if you ask like you want to hook up, or you show insinuation of trying to hook up, and she appears to be enjoying it.
Tell me,
Well, now you need active consent. You need the absolute.
We've all heard the stories before of like consent change, but if we're making a legal argument, what is this? Because the argument that you're making that like, well, the schools will bring charges or go to the police or whatever, my understanding would be like a DA would say like, oh, well, you guys changed to define consent, there's no criminal case here, unless like an actual legal like statute or code or legislation.
You know what wording is in statute. So if that changed, I want to know the wording, and I want to know how it was changed to change consent legally.
I literally just explained how it was changed.
You don't have an example though?
I just said it was at universities, and I believe certain state statutes. Yeah, so I believe certain state statutes also have changed alongside the UC campus. UC, I know for sure, but I.
Is consent even like a
Right.
like a
So
legal
it affects men. How do you think this doesn't affect men?
He's saying but I'm not saying it doesn't affect men, but you were saying California would have to change their statute for
I
their.
really did. I'm not 100%.
She's saying that the schools are implementing things that can get guys expelled and stuff. So it's not, I get it, I know. It's not illegal. No, it's at their discretion because it's a private institution, but I'm saying it's not illegal. It's up to the schools. The schools can expel if they think this is XYZ. It doesn't have to be criminalized, whatever the fuck. Sorry.
Now, real quick, I want to also let, sorry, what's her name, the girl in the middle?
Lana.
Lana, okay, I want to let Andrew answer Lana's question before we move on.
What would be an alternative to Me Too?
So I would try to move towards a patriarchal system where women were slowly phased out of the workplace altogether, and that solves this problem.
Okay,
How would we survive and live?
The same way that we survived and lived for most of our history, which is without women inside the
men would
workforce.
abandon their homes to go to other women. What the first divorce case was because the guy ditched his wife and his kids and went to be with another woman.
Which has what to do with anything?
I'm a widow. I mean, what would I do?
What does that have to do with anything?
It has to do with everything.
What
How
does
are
it have
women
to do
gonna
with
survive? How will they survive
The
if they're
same
not?
way that they've always survived without women in the workforce. There was not a
How?
problem with the survival before women were in the workforce.
how did it happen before?
While
Say
in the
that,
survival post. Women are enabled to be in the workforce only through the usage of technology. If you look
Wait,
at
wait, don't do this diatribe. Answer the question. How would a woman, let's say a woman gets widowed, how does she survive?
She would probably remarry.
Why would you
not
want to
only that,
remarry?
the assets of the husband always have traditionally gone to the woman. Not only that, there's usually an obligation from the family of the person you were widowed from, who's
That's
going
assuming
to
the
help you
man
out.
was doing everything right. Like the man was just working hard all the
We
time,
can't,
saving
we
money,
can't
that he had
assess, we
assets.
can't assess all of society just
But
based
that's how
on
it is
what
now.
if risks of what if a meteorite strikes you. That's
How
not
many men
fair,
do you
and I'm
right
sorry,
now-
hang on, let me finish, lady. I'm sorry that a fucking meteorite might strike your husband and he might die, but we're not gonna make a societal prescription based on that. That would be insanity. So yes, there's gonna be some unfairness baked in, but we can't unfortunately alleviate all unfairness from every situation over all times. We can't.
Isn't
do
it
that.
common right now though that like the average savings rate is like negative for like people under 35? So basically every widow under the age of like 35 or 40 is fucked?
First of all, they're not fucked. If you were to reduce the women's participation in the workforce, you would see a massive increase in salary, more than likely for men. That follows, in fact.
No, it doesn't follow. It
How does
literally
it not?
No, that is
It doesn't
true.
follow because the number one indicator of like countries becoming prosperous and successful is women entering the workforce and starting to own businesses. That's like one of the biggest indicators of it.
He's
Destiny,
talking about
you're familiar with supply and demand, right? If you have less workers, do you have more of a supply of workers or less?
You
of a
understand that when you go to high
supply?
school.
Like I just answered yours.
No, I'll answer your question.
Then
The
just say yes.
supply and demand X graph is an incredibly crude and simplistic way to analyze markets. Yes, of course, if you remove all the women from the workforce, the men will get higher wages.
Then why
However,
the fuck did
you've
you
also
just
got
argue
a
they wouldn't?
big what?
Why did you just argue they wouldn't?
Because every single economist in the world agrees with me and not you, Andrew. So maybe there's a
with you
better
about what? You just
agrees
agreed with
that
me.
Women are start to own businesses and enter the workforce with a higher rate than
You
men.
just agreed with me in my position that if all women were exited from the workforce tomorrow, salaries for men would skyrocket. You literally just agreed with that.
Salaries, less dollars in our economy.
Salaries might increase, Andrew. Do you think murdering half the U.S. population would be good for the